Lesson 18. Principle of Maintaining Independent Stand. This lesson we are going to study that the independent stand must be maintained. The Tzu idea newly expounded the guiding principles of the Revolutionary Party and the state to be consistently held fast to in leading the revolution and construction. The guiding principles of the Tzu idea are, in a word, the guide to establish Tzu. Thoroughly establishing Tzu in all spheres of revolution and construction is an intrinsic demand of the revolutionary struggle and a fundamental guarantee for being ever victorious in the revolution and construction. To maintain the independent stand, apply the creative method and place the main stress on ideology. These are the main contents of the guiding principles of the Tzu idea to hold fast to in the establishment of Tzu in the revolution and construction and apply it thoroughly. To maintain the independent stand is important in the guiding principles of the Tzu idea. The independent stand is a fundamental stand to be maintained in the revolution and construction. Leader Kim Jong-il said. The leader President Kim Il-sung laid down the principles of Tzu in ideology, independence in politics, self-sufficiency in economy, and self-reliance in defense as the principles of realizing independence. The principles of Tzu, independence, self-sufficiency, and self-reliant defense are the guiding principles of realizing independence in the spheres of ideology, politics, the economy, and defense. The independent stand enables the popular masses to defend firmly their independent position as masters of the revolution and construction, the masters of their destiny. If the popular masses are to maintain the independent stand, they must exercise the rights as the masters and fulfill their responsibility as such. That the masses exercise the rights as masters of the revolution and construction means that they deal with all problems in the revolution and construction in keeping with their demands and interests and in accordance with their independent judgment and decision. That the masses fulfill their responsibility as masters of the revolution and construction means that they solve all problems in the revolution and construction with their own efforts and responsibility. The guiding principles to maintain the independent stand take concrete shape in accordance with the spheres of social life, and the contents of them are the principles of Tzu in ideology, independence in politics, self-sufficiency in the economy, and self-reliance in defense. The principle of establishing Tzu in ideology is the guiding principle for independence in the sphere of ideology. To establish Tzu in ideology means having the consciousness that one is the master of the revolution in construction, thinking and doing everything centering on the revolution in one's own country, and acquiring the viewpoint and attitude of solving all questions by one's own talents and initiative. In order to establish Tzu in ideology, it is necessary to equip the popular masses with the independent revolutionary idea and with the policy of their party. Only when they are equipped with the independent revolutionary idea can they be able to carry out successfully the revolution and construction, however difficult and complex the situation is, with the awareness that they are the masters of the revolution and construction. They must equip themselves with their party's line and policy and regard them as criterion of their thinking and practice so as to wage the revolutionary movement with a Tzu-oriented stand. In order to establish Tzu in ideology, it is also necessary to be well versed in one's own things, value them, and place them above others. Only when one is well versed in one's own things will he be able to solve all problems in the revolution and construction in an independent manner and suit to one's specific situation and carry out the revolution in construction in conformity with the aspirations and requirements of one's people. Only then will one be able to love his country and people ardently and demonstrate a high degree of patriotic devotion and revolutionary enthusiasm. In order to establish Tzu in ideology, it is also necessary to possess a high sense of national dignity and revolutionary pride. National dignity and revolutionary pride is necessary for every nation, but smaller nation needs much more the sense of national dignity and revolutionary pride. Furthermore, the sense of national dignity and revolutionary pride is the mental source as precious as their life for the people of small countries who have suffered oppression of others for a long time. In order to establish Tzu in ideology, it is also necessary to develop national culture and enhance the cultural and technical level of the masses. One must build culture which is national in form and revolutionary and socialist in content. The Tzu-oriented culture which agrees with one's own people's sentiments and is based on the working class line. This will make people's ideological and spiritual life healthy and facilitate the establishment of Tzu in ideology. Scientific and technical competitions get fierce on an international scale, and the imperialists move to realize their dominationist ambition with their high-tech weapons and material and technical superiority. In such condition, one is unable to escape from the imperialist domination and plunder and defend the independence of one's country and nation without developing science and technology. Only when science and technology of a country are developed on a cutting-edge level can the people completely get rid of mysticism about technique and conventional method of work. In order to establish Tzu in ideology, it is necessary to struggle against servility to big powers and all other outdated ideas. All outdated ideas, in particular servility to big powers, is the obstacle in establishing Tzu in ideology. Final victory can be achieved in the revolution only when one continues the struggle for Tzu against servility to big powers. The principle of maintaining independence in politics is the guiding principle for independence in the sphere of politics. Maintaining independence in politics means upholding national independence and sovereignty of one's people, defending their interests, and conducting politics by relying on their strengths. In order to maintain independence in politics, it is necessary to set up a people's government. Only when the popular masses hold state power in their hands and become true masters of the state and society will they be able to attain political independence and lead an independent and creative life as masters of the state and society. In order to maintain independence in politics, it is necessary to build up internal political forces. Only when one builds up the internal political forces and relies on them will he be able to win and preserve sovereignty and ensure independent politics. And the solid military and economic forces can be created. In order to maintain independence in politics, it is necessary to have one's own guiding idea and work out one's independent line and policy and carry it through with one's decision. The political power that accepts others' political ideas without one's own guiding ideology is unable to enforce correct politics. Yielding to foreign pressure and tolerating foreign interventions in politics or acting to the tune of others make it impossible to maintain principle and consistency, thus making a mess of the revolution in construction. In order to maintain independence in politics, it is necessary to exercise complete sovereignty and equality in foreign relations. If one fails to exercise complete sovereignty and equality in foreign relations and makes one step backward before the dominationist forces, this will lead to concession of 100 steps, and as a result, the country and nation will be reduced to a colony of modern version. This is a stark reality proved by the disastrous fate of several countries in the world. The principle of self-sufficiency in the economy is the guiding principle for independence in the sphere of the economy. In other words, it means building an independent national economy which is free from others and which stands on its own feet, an economy which serves one's own people and develops on the strength of the resources of one's own country and by the efforts of one's own people. In order to implement the principle of self-sufficiency in the economy, it is important to adhere to the principle of self-reliance in economic construction. Self-reliance is the revolutionary spirit and principle of struggle of the communists to make revolution by their own initiative. In other words, it is the spirit of natural self-respect and fighting principle of beating the world by dint of one's own initiative, resources in one's own country, and one's own technology. Conditions and circumstances of the revolution may change with the advance of history, but the revolutionary mode of self-reliance cannot be altered. Self-reliance is the only way of adhering to independence for country and nation, developing the economy independently, and achieving prosperity of the country and nation. In order to implement the principle of self-sufficiency in the economy, it is important to develop the economy in a diversified and integrated manner. Independent economy should naturally be developed in such a diversified and integrated manner to make the country prosperous and improve the people's living standard. Such an economy can be developed safely and quickly on a solid basis. In order to implement the principle of self-sufficiency in the economy, it is important to equip the economy with modern techniques and train national technical cadres on an extensive scale. Unless one equips the economy with modern techniques, one will not be able to tap and utilize natural resources of the country effectively and develop the national economy in a diversified manner. Without training massively the national technical cadres, it is possible to carry out the technical revolution and attain economic independence. In order to implement the principle of self-sufficiency in the economy, it is important to build independent raw material and fuel bases. Depending entirely on others for raw material and fuel is as good as leaving one's economic lifeline in the hands of others. The economy depending on others for raw materials and fuel is unable to stand on its feet and serve one's own people. The principle of self-reliance in defense is the guiding principle for independence in the sphere of national defense. Implementing the principle of self-reliant defense means defending one's country by one's own efforts. In other words, it means people in each country solve all problems in defense building and military activities in conformity with the interests of one's own people and the situation in one's country by building powerful defense capabilities. In order to implement the principle of self-reliance in defense, it is important to build the self-reliant revolutionary armed forces and strengthen the revolutionary army into the strong support defending devotedly the party and the leader, the country and the people. The revolutionary army is the main force of defense capabilities. Socialism can be safeguarded and the people's happiness defended only when the revolutionary army is steadily built up politically and ideologically, militarily and technically. In order to implement the principle of self-reliance in defense, it is important to establish the defense system involving all the people and the whole country. If the all-people, all-nation defense system is to be established, the entire army must be made a cadre army and modernized, and all people armed, and the whole country fortified. In order to implement the principle of self-reliance in defense, it is important to build one's own defense industry. One must establish and develop one's own national defense industry. Only then one can be able to be armed fully and in time with modern weapons and military and technical equipment capable of coping with the Revolutionary War and to improve the military equipment continuously as required by the actual conditions of one's own country. In order to implement the principle of self-reliance in defense, it is important to consolidate the rear. The key to modern war hinges on whether human and material resources needed in the war are fully provided or not. Therefore, it is necessary to pay deep attention to further consolidation of the rear, politically and ideologically, materially and economically. Thank you for this lesson. Next lesson, we will study the principle of applying the creative method.